Bea says, thoughts on large-scale anarchy? Is it possible? How would it work? Yeah, no, I think it absolutely is possible. I think the model I set out in After the Revolution is probably a good way to think about the basis of what would take place in a large-scale sort of anarchic polity, and gives you an idea of how it might scale up. However, I should note that After the Revolution is probably not what I would call anarchy, in the sense that I don't think that in that description we've eliminated all hierarchical power structures. Instead, in After the Revolution, I would describe that as an anarchic society. So we essentially have a society that has built a system which is constantly countervailing hierarchical power structures, but I don't think they have been absolutely diminished in that description. Nonetheless, if you combine the insights in After the Revolution with what I talk about in parts 2 and 3 of A Modern Anarchism, I think you can see how we could move towards a global anarchy. And it would take some time, and it would take an enormous amount of revolutionary activity. However, it is indeed possible. So those are the places I would point you to understand the answer to that question. Powis says, most ANCOMs I know want a transitional period, usually some form of market anarchism, between socialism and communism. How does the theory of means and ends fit into that? Well, I think what that is a recognition that we are not going to be able to just put communism directly into place. We are going to have to use the tools that we have available to us now to transform ourselves toward the sort of society that we'd like to see. And prefiguration says we need to build as much of that in the now as is conceivably possible, but we are not going to be able to build a direct distribution, decentrally planned economy within the current state of things. We are unfortunately going to have to interact with the global market system during this many decades that we will probably have to be transitioning towards our ideal future system. Insofar as there is a global market surrounding us, that will force us to quantize the value of our goods by comparison to commodities in the outside world. And that will then create internal economies wherein we will be recognizing what does and does not make profit. And that recognition is very likely to drive the trade of things internally, knowing that they may eventually be traded externally. So that is just a problem that any movement faces that seeks to do immediate decommodification. And therefore, most anarchists, looking at the examples that we've seen in history of large-scale anarchist projects, recognize that there's probably going to have to be kind of a mixed economy in that sense. You're going to have decentral planning and direct distribution alongside some form of a cooperative market system. And the cooperative market system will still be controlled by confederations of councils. However, it will indeed have to take place in wage labor relations. It will indeed have to produce commodities for profit. However, the workplaces, the means of production, will be owned by the workers, and they will be socialized insofar as that society abroad, through confederations of councils, will still own the means of production. So this allows us to undergo the transition if need be, because the cooperatives will still function under the power of the councils, meaning that the councils at some later date could then subsume these market components back into the council structures where the people have direct control. So that's kind of the idea of how this transition might take place. And we actually see a very good model of this in the CNTFAI controlled territories in Spain during the Spanish Civil War. Also, I might add, this is what the Zapatistas do. The Zapatistas have both fully decommodified aspects of their economy and they have commodified aspects of their economy. So, like corn, for example, some amount of that is just distributed directly to people that need to eat, but the excesses are actually sold and they use the income that they get from selling their corn in order to reinvest in their community. So